Controversial businessman Edwin Sodi is facing mounting financial and legal pressure, while reports indicating he could lose his luxury home in Denford due to unpaid estate levies. According to the Sunday Times, Sodi has allegedly failed to settle levy payments for nearly 2 years. The body corporate of the Borgo de Villiers estate has since approached the Johannesburg High Court seeking an order compelling his company Blackhead Consulting to pay an outstanding amount of 345,483 with interest and legal cost. The figure could rise to approximately 480,000 rand. Estate trustees say they are now pushing for the property to be auctioned to recover the debt after repeated attempts to reach Sodi reportedly failed. One trustee described the situation as unusual, noting that the property has stood vacant for over 2 years while arrears continued to accumulate. The development adds to Sodi's growing list of financial troubles. In March, the Johannesburg High Court ordered him to repay more than 570,000 rand to Nedbank over an unpaid credit card account linked to high-end spending. The expenses reportedly included luxury hotel stays in London, designer clothing purchases, premium skincare products, and artwork. Efforts to serve legal papers have also proven difficult. The sheriff reportedly could not locate Sodi at his Sandton residence, raising further questions about his whereabouts. Beyond his personal financial woes, Sodi remains entangled in multiple controversies linked to public sector contracts. His company, Blackhead Consulting, was awarded a multi-million rand tender to refurbish the Rooiwal wastewater treatment plant in Tshwane. However, the project stalled after only 60% of the initial phase was completed. Despite payments totaling over 291 million rand, the Democratic Alliance has also criticized the city of Tshwane for failing to act decisively, with Councillor Silas Brink accusing the ANC-led coalition of dragging its feet on efforts to blacklist Sodi and his associates. Tshwane Mayor Nasipi Moyo has rejected those claims, stating that the city has made several attempts to serve notices. Sodi is also among the accused in high-profile Free State asbestos corruption case, where he faces charges including fraud, corruption, money laundering, and violations of the Public Finance Management Act. The case has drawn national attention, partly due to alleged political connections, including claims linking him to Deputy President Paul Mashatile. As legal battles intensify on multiple fronts, the once high-flying entrepreneur now appears increasingly under strain, with both his assets and reputation hanging in the balance. Edwin Sodi has also weighed in on the establishment of a new national task team aimed at tackling organized crime, a unit said to be led by KwaZulu-Natal's Provincial Commissioner General Ndlela Mkhwanazi. The reaction surfaced after outspoken blogger Musa Khawula shared a video allegedly showing Sodi expressing frustration in a WhatsApp status update. In the clip, Sodi appears to criticize Mkhwanazi's role and suggest that the situation could have been handled differently. He claims that if the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner had been assigned his 121 dockets earlier, the current challenges might have been avoided. Sodi also remarks that even traffic officers are now reluctant to accept bribes, indicating what he perceives as increased pressure within law enforcement. Mkhwanazi's elevation to a national role in the fight against organized crime has drawn significant attention, with Sodi's comments adding to the ongoing public discourse around crime, corruption, and policing in South Africa. Meanwhile, the general confirmed that the task team has been allocated a specific budget of approximately 1 billion rand sourced from the Criminal Assets Recovery Account, CARA Fund, to finance its operations for the current financial year. Discussing the project's objectives, Mkhwanazi emphasized that the fight against organized crime is fundamentally a fight against deep-seated corruption within state agencies, including the South African Police Service itself. and said the work has already started, detailing the team's strategy, and said we have analysis of dockets that we need to begin with very soon so that we can identify which cases we are going to tackle. He confirmed the operation is not confined to one province, noting KwaZulu-Natal is one of the beneficiaries of that project. He further explained the task team's targets, stating that the project will focus on the highest levels of organized crime, international syndicates and traditional organized crime, drug trafficking and gangsterism. The scope extends beyond the SAPS with Mkhwanazi, confirming the investigation will also target the enemy within law enforcement agencies, both from the SAPS and agencies within the criminal justice system. Furthermore, a significant focus will be on corruption tied to government contracts and entities. The new national structure is designed to overcome historical challenges where police units working in isolation become vulnerable to infiltration by criminal syndicates. Mkhwanazi explained that the key is coordination and breaking down territorial barriers. He explained that the goal of the structure created for the Political Killings Task Team was to bring all those involved units together under one central command, and said this is exactly what we are trying to do with this organized crime approach. We take from different disciplines and bring them under one command so that we are able to have a focused investigation. The team will integrate officers from the uniform branch, detective specializations, and combating units, moving them away from their traditional units and deploying them where the initial task requires. This fluidity of deployment is crucial, according to General Mkhwanazi, and said if you are from Durban and we want you in Pretoria, we'll send you to Pretoria and go and work there for that period, while your family is in KwaZulu-Natal, so we move them around. Furthermore, a critical element of the 1 billion rand project is the implementation of a rigorous counter-intelligence framework to vet and audit the task team members themselves. Mkhwanazi noted that the law enforcement is not immune to corruption and that internal integrity is paramount to team success, and said we have to develop countermeasures to mitigate the risks. Expressing confidence in the team being assembled, he said ours is to identify the like-minded ones, the hard-working ones, and bring them together so that we can deliver our service. He also outlined the one-year mandate for success and said our aim is to investigate, disrupt their operations, suffocate their efforts as much as possible, and then recover whatever assets we can. Ultimately, the long-term goal for the Kara-funded project is to create a self-sufficient system where assets recovered from criminals are used to fund further operations. As said, the long-term plan is to be self-sufficient by the very same criminals. We get their things, we sell it, and we finance ourselves, and we go back. It doesn't help if taxpayers are paying for this and these criminals are making millions. What's your take on this one, people? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more news.